So in the other column, we created a row, a div, and we gave it a row, and then we created two columns, which we gave 6 of length. We gave it col length of 6, and this col length of 6, and then we included a p tag with this short description, and we included an h2 tag and an h3 tag. So let's go to our styling sheet. And let's talk about the About section and what we want to do there. So in the About section, we define the About class, we reference the About class, and then we reference the Content class. And then the H2 tag, we give it this description. And H3, we give it this description. The UL, we give it this description, despite the fact that we've not used any UL options there, ordered list. And here we still give, this is the ordered list, and then here we give the list this option, despite the fact that we've not created the list. And then we created the P section too. With the P tag, we give it this option. So we can reduce this to maybe 20. If we save it, then we can actually view how it looks in our browser by just refreshing. And then we can see here that we actually have this field now. And this looks good now. Like the P tag, we could actually increase the font size. So we can say font size, we can give it 16 pixels. And the line height, you can make it 30 so that it will be a little bit more bold. You see that? So the line height has increased. So now from here, I just want us to go to the footer section. Let's create a footer for our page, because right now, if you look at our HTML tag, we don't have a footer. You know, we have this About section, we have the Hero section, and we don't have a footer yet. So let's quickly create a footer for our page. So what do we do? Let's come after the main tag, after the close of the main tag. Let's just give it a footer section. So we say footer. I love comments so much. I use comments so frequently in my code because it makes me understand. Even if I come back to my code after 10 years, I still understand what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to achieve in my code. That's why I love comments. So make it a good practice for you also to always comment out your code so that you can understand your code after a long time. Now, in this footer section, I want us to be able to include a small form for our subscribers. So we're going to be entertaining newsletter subscribers in this form. We want people to subscribe to our newsletter so that they can often get information about our services. So we're going to include that in the footer. We don't want it to take much of the space on our website. So we're just going to include it in a footer. And we're going to be making it responsive. We're going to make it a dynamic form because we want people to be able to submit their emails to our server. And then we can't allow people to submit with HTML or CSS. But trust me, we can do that with server-side languages. So immediately we conclude this tutorial, we are going to use this same script. We're going to start to use it with a server-side language. You know, this is HTML and CSS crash course, but I want to introduce you to server-side languages so that you can become a full stack developer. So we will be choosing a server-side language, but that's not going to be in the course of this lecture, but we will be using server-side languages. So just check you can check the playlist and you will see this same script being used with different server-side languages like PHP, Node.js, Java. We're going to be using it with different server-side languages so that you can be comfortable using any server-side language of your choice. I don't want to impose that on anybody. For me, I like it when I have a project and then I decide the server-side language I want to use according to the needs of the project, if you understand what I'm trying to say. So I decide the server-side language which I'm going to use as regards my project. When I get the project, then I'll decide what server-side language I want to use. That's how I write my code. So here we're trying to make our footer, and we're just going to give this. This is our H3 tag. Let me just put it on one line and say I'm just going to give it a name and say travel and tours. And here I'm going to use the P tag, and I'll just write the address. The address, I would say 103 Kingston Drive. Okay, so after the address, I'd like to add a phone number. So I want all of those to be, and for the phone number, I'm just going to use a strong tag, and I would say phone. And then I can say 01, just put in any random figure which you are comfortable with. And then I can say, I want to use, there's a tag in HTML which we've not talked about. It's a break line tag. So I want to break this. The break brings you to another line. Okay? It brings you to another line. So I'm just going to use the break here. And then I'm going to copy this phone. I'll use it as email. And I'll say contact at travels.au. And now, let me quickly chip in something. It's not a good practice for you to display your emails on your website like this. So what can we do to secure our emails? Let me cut this out. And then I'm just going to use the A tag, and I'll say ref. And here, I'm going to use mail to function, the mail to attribute in HTML. Okay, and then I'll put my email inside here. And outside of it, I could just say send us a message, send us a mail, and then I'll close the A tag. So if I close this now, if I save this now, remember that this div which we open here, we just make it 3. So I want to make another div like this, and then that div is that is outside of this one. I'm going to make another div outside of this one. So I'm going to say div again, and then I'll say class, and we can give this long. I'll just make this 2 instead of 3 because we still have some other things to add on our footer. So I want to make this medium also 6. And here I want to reference it and say, here we use footer contacts. Though we've not written the CSS, but we're going to do that shortly. So here I want to use footer links. Okay, I want to use footer links here. And then, apart from the footer links, I'm not using just one footer link. I want to use multiple footer links. Okay, So what I'm going to do is here, this is, we made this 2, right? We'll make another one, 2, that is 2 plus 2, that's 4, plus 3, that's 7, right? Okay, what we're just going to do is let's just make this 3 and 3, 3 and 3, so that's going to be 9, and then we're just going to make the last one, and make it also 3. We'll make it 3 also. That's going to be 12, okay? So the last one will now be footer newsletter. Newsletter. Cool. So now in the newsletter, what do we do? Let's give it something like an H4 tag. And we're just going to say newsletter, subscribe to our newsletter. So here, what we're just going to do is let's include a P tag to describe this and say love updated news about travel and tourism. Subscribe below. Okay. Now we want to include the form. So we're going to say form, and then we'll close it. And inside the form is going to take some parameters or some properties. So the first property which is going to take is the action property, and another one which is going to take is the method. So the method is going to be post method because we want to make it post. But I don't want to talk about this now because it's not supposed to be in an HTML class. It's supposed to be in a server-side language class. So I'm just going to leave it this way, and let's put impute here to get. It's an email we want to request. So this is going to be email. The type should be email, and the name should be email. And then we're going to put a required parameter so that if your users or your subscribers don't put in the email information, it will not submit. That form will not submit. Okay? So the name here should be submit or would be submit. You can make it any name that you like. And the value, I want to put a value, and then the value should be subscribe. Now, if we save this and then we go to our front end to view what we've done so far, you will be surprised at what you'll be seeing. You see, this is what we have now. Okay, this is what HTML alone can do for us. Okay, because we've not included the links, you're not seeing any link. But let's try to include a link now so that we can see how the link is going to be. Okay, this is the footer of our website now. But let's include the link, and then let's just include the link to just catch some fun. Okay, so let's include the H4, and here we'll say company. Okay, and then here we're going to use an ordered list. We're going to use an ordered list. So, no, not ordered list. We're going to use an unordered list. So in the unordered list, we will just use our list, and we will say the A tag rather, because we want to make it sort of a link where people can click. And here we could say home. Okay. Apart from the home, we could have about us, and apart from the about us, we can have contact us. Okay. Or let's say services and contact us. And let's just copy this and paste it here. and change some things. Like here we could say useful links, and then we could say visa. Here we could say ticket. Here we could say hotel. Here we could say security. Let's save this and then let's refresh our page, and you see what we've got. So we've got these looking at us right here. Now let's go to, if you click on this button, which we have here, you see is requesting fill out this form field. You see that? Fill out this field. That's because of the required parameter which we included. This is required. If we remove this required now and save it, and we go back to our form, we refresh the page. If you click it now, you will see that the page is reloading. Okay? It's not telling us to fill out the form anymore because we removed that required. So let's put it back because it's useful. It has its own usefulness. Save it. And now let's go to our CSS and let's try to style our footer. Okay? So now we want to work on the footer section. And like I always do, the first thing which I always do is give it a comment. Okay? And then I would say footer. And after the footer, if you look inside of your code, you will see that the footer, we reference the footer with an ID, not a class like this one. We reference it with an ID. So how do we grab that here? We say hash, okay, and then we say footer. That means we have grabbed our footer. So I want to give it the footer a color. That is every text in the footer. I want to give it a color, a kind of a different color, somehow different. And then the font size, I want it to be 14 pixels. I'll give it a background. And I'm going to use this background, and I'll say box shadow. Box shadow is a kind of effect that you can use on any column or section which you didn't fit. Okay? So here I'm just going to say instead of 1.0, I'm just going to say 0.6. Let's use 0.6 this time, okay? So now let's reference the footer top. So I'm still going to call on footer and then the class, which is footer top. You remember the footer top, which we have the footer top class. So that's what we're referencing here. And I'm just going to say padding. And the padding I want to give it will be 60 pixels with 0, with 30 pixels, with another 0. So here I'm going to say the background should just be sort of white. Okay? Now I'm still referencing the footer ID again because everything we're going to do is in the footer. Okay? Footer top. And then the footer contact. You remember this footer contact, right? Let's go check it if we're doing the right thing. Look at it, footer contact. You see that? Our contact in the footer. So what we're going to do now is we're going to give it a margin bottom. Margin bottom of 30 pixels. Okay? And we're still going to reference it again. We're still going to reference it because we have a few more things to do with it. You know, we have some H2 or H3. Let's see. Let's check it out. Okay, H3 and the P tag in there. So let's reference the H3 and the P tag now. So we're just going to copy this. And let's put it here. And then here, we're going to include the H3. And here, let's close the bracket. And we're going to include the P2. We need to work on the P2. So now for the H3, what we're just going to do is let's just give it a font size font size of 28 pixels should be fine for now. If it's too small, we'll come back to increase it. Let's give it a margin. Let's give it a padding. Let's give it a line height. Let's just make that 1. Let's give it a font weight. Let's make the font weight 600. And let's give it a color. And then what color can we use here? Let's use our previous colors, which we used to in the course of the tutorial for, right? Okay. So that's for the H3. Now let's go to the P tag. And let's repeat the same thing for the P, but some things are going to change, like the font size is going to change. We should make this font size, let's say 14 pixels. Okay. We can make the line height of this one. We can make it 20 pixels, or let's make it 24 pixels. Okay. Let's make it 24. Then we can say the margin bottom should be 0. All right. And then we can say, let's give it a color. And let us say the font family can be, let's use railway, and like I always do, a comma and sans serif. Okay, now we've done that for the contact, okay? But in the footer top, I think we have an H4, this footer top, right? Let's see what we've got here. We've got H4 in the footer top. Okay, let's check how our web page looks now. Let's check this out. Just refresh your page. And you see, this is what we got. Look at this. It's really looking good, right? Okay, the phone which we have here. Now, if you look at this email, you see send email, send us an email. Once you overrun it, you will see your email address. So it's better to always hide it like this. You could do the same to the phone too. We could actually, let's do the same to the phone number too. Let's check the phone number and do justice to it. Okay, so here we have the phone number, and we can use the href and say call and here you can just say call us, and we can close the tag. So with this, if we save it and we'll go back to our front page and refresh the page. Okay, color. So, but there's something wrong here. I want the address to be on a different line and the phone to be on a different line. So I'm going to bring the break line here, and if we refresh the page, we should get that. Let's go on to address the other parts of our code, the link and then the form. All right. So let us address other parts of our HTML classes. Font size, and let's give it 16 pixels. Let's give the font weight. Let's make it bold. Let's give the color. Let's make it 1B3 pixels. Let's give the position to be relative. And then let's give the padding bottom 12 pixels. Now, let's go back to the box shadow. I think the box shadow, the shadow is them to pick. So we could give it 3. We could give it 3. I think this should be fine. Let's refresh our page and check it out. This is the shadow, okay? So we want to check it out now. Okay, I think it's a bit light. So let's go back to our IDE and then let's try to finish up for the footer which we're working on. So let's reference our footer again. And this time we want to reference the footer top, and the footer link. The footer link. And we have the margin bottom. Let's keep this at 30 pixels. Okay. Now 30 pixels, and now we want to reference the UL, the unordered list. Okay. UL. Okay, so what do we do with the UL? Let's say the list style. The reason why we're using the list style to be none is because we don't want this dot here. Okay. So if you save this, if we save this and we refresh this page, you will see that the dots are gone. But if you don't want it to be without dots, you can leave it out. You can leave the list style. You can just forget about it if you don't want it. But for me, I think I don't need it. I don't want us to use it. So we could use better options. Okay. So let's use the padding, and I'll put it at 0, and the margin, and I'll still put that at 0. So afterwards, we can say, I want to reference it again, and I'll say I. The reason why I'm using I is because we could also use the italics option. So if we're going to use the italic option, we don't need to come back to write any code, okay? So 2 pixels to the right, and then the color should be the same color which we've been using on others, 1455A4, okay? And then we'll say font size. The font size for the italics option should be about 18 to 20 pixels so that it's going to be obvious. Then the line should be 1, okay? So afterwards, we'll want to reference the UL and the LI, okay? So for the UL and the LI, what we'll do is let's give it a padding, and the padding should be 10 pixels with 0. And then let's give it a display, and the display should be flex. All right. And then let's just align items, and it's just going to be center. So let's deal with the first child now. So the link, the UL, and the LI. Now let's attend to the first child. And that should we should have padding of top, and that should be just 0. Okay. Now after that, we can also address the UL and the A. You know, we have a A reference there. That is for the link. Okay. So for the A, let's give it a color, and the color should be this. That's That's a good color for us, right? And let's give it transition, and that should be about 0.3. I've been using that all day. Now display, our display should be inline. And let's use the line height of 1. So now let's now treat the over for this. If we place our cursor on it, what's going to happen? So the A and then the over. Okay. So if we place a cursor on A, let's say that we want two things to happen. We want the color to change, and we want a text decoration of none. Okay, so the color should change to what? The color should change to 1455, right? A4. I think that's cool. So if we save this and then we go back to our browser and refresh our page, what are we going to have? Whoa, this is what we got now. You see the text decoration is none, so it's actually removing the line immediately, changing the color as soon as you over. So let's deal with this now. Let's deal with the form. Okay, so let's go back to our IDE and then let's deal with the form. So for the form, we have what we actually use in referencing the form is none of these but footer newsletter, right? Footer newsletter. So for the footer newsletter, let us say that we're going to have a font size of 16 pixels. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this and then replicate it because we're still talking about the newsletter. Okay, so here I'm just going to include H4 because the newsletter has got H4, and then font size for the H4, it could be 18. You could just make it 18. You can make it 16 if you want. I just want it to be a little bit different. And then I can say font weight, and I want to leave it as bold. I can say the color. I want to make the color this. You can make it any color that is comfortable for you. And then the position, I want to make it relative too. And the padding bottom, let's make the padding bottom. Let's give it about 12 pixels for the padding bottom. And then I'm going to replicate it again. And here, I'm just going to say the form. I want to deal with the form now. Okay? So for the form, what do we do for the form? Let's think about that. First of all, let's give the form a margin. Let's give it a margin to the top. And we just give it about 20 to 30 pixels. And we can say background. So we want to give it a background. You can give it a background color of any choice of yours, but I just want to give it this. Okay, I want to make it just a little bit different. Let's see how it turns out to be. So I'll give the padding 6 pixels and 10 pixels. And then I'll make the position relative again. Position relative. And I want to give the border. I want to give a border. I want to give the border radius. I want to make it about 50 pixels. Okay. And then I'll just say text aligned to the left. Okay. And let's give it a border. Let's give it a border and say the border should be 1 pixel solid. Okay. And then the border color should be something different. Yeah, something different. Okay. So, and then we will now start to reference the form properties one after the other. But if you check this now, there should be, you see that there's a little bit of difference on that font. I think this color is not too appropriate, so we might need to change that color. But you see now that the font is now looking, we have to reference the input and the buttons and stuff like that. Let's reference that. So back to our IDE, and then we'll just reference the font and say font input. That's how to reference the input anyway. And then the input, I'm going to use this bracket, and then I'll say type. I want to call the type, which is email, right? And in the email, I want to give it a border of 0. Okay? I want to give it a padding of 4 pixels and 8 pixels. Okay? I want to give it a width, and then I'm going to use this option, which I've always used. Okay? Because, all right, so, and after that, I'm just going to use this font input again. So I might be forced to copy all of this now so that I can use it subsequently. But now it's not going to be an email anymore. Let us use the submit. Okay? Now let's deal with submit. So we're going to say submit. Okay, because we use the submit as a button. You remember that? So let's say the position is going to be absolute. And then let's say the top. Let's keep it as -1 pixel. Right. -1 pixel. Bottom. -1 pixel. The reason why we're putting this as -1 pixel is because of the position of that button. Okay, we want the position to be stuck to the form field, the input field. Okay, we want both of them to be stuck together. All right, that's why we're trying to position it where we want it to be. So font size should be 16 pixels, and let's give it a padding of 0 and 20 pixels. And afterwards, let's give it a background. No, we've given it a background, right? Let's give it a color. Or we've given it the color? No. Let the color be white. And then transition. Transition should be 0.3. And then let's give it a border radius. Border radius, which I'll give it 50 pixels. And afterwards, let's give it a box shadow. I don't know why I like box shadow. I like using it a lot. And we're going to give it 2 pixels here, and let's say 15 here. And then the RGBA, and I'm still going to use 0 point something. Let's say 0.2 this time. All right. So afterwards, we should reference the submit over. Okay. Submit, and then the over. So when you place your cursor on it, what happens? The background should change. The background should now be another color. The background should be another color. And then what else? What else can we do there? I don't think we need any other thing there. But let's go back to our front end, and we're going to change this color from yellow. We'll give it another color, okay? So that it's going to look better than this. So what color can we do? we could give it just okay. Okay, for the hover, let's see, before we over the submit button, the color should change from this color to, what color can we use here? Let's use something similar to this. So here we're going to change this to 4. And let's see how that plays out. Yeah, so we got something different. And then the text, when it's over, the text should be white. So the color should now be white. Okay, so let's see what happens. Cool. So now we have everything playing out just the way we want. We have one section. You can increase the pages. The About Us page is there for you to work on, the Submit page, Contact page. But from here, we're just going to move to more complex, more advanced CSS, snippets, code snippets, and all that. And we're going to see more complex HTML5 concepts too. And then we're going to be moving to server-side language to make sure that this form is working. When you put in an email, like this, when you put in an email, what happens when you click the submit button? We want to see what happens. And so let me know your opinion. Let me know what's on your mind.
Thank you for watching. If you find this tutorial helpful, kindly subscribe.